been a while since I reviewed a Xiaomi phone on my channel, specifically the Redmi line. In fact, the last Redmi I reviewed was the Note 4, and that was a few years ago. So I was curious to see what Xiaomi had in store with their sub-brand Redmi when they announced the Redmi Note 7. So I got my hands on it about a week ago, and I've been putting it through its paces ever since. Hey everybody, it's Andrew, and this is my unboxing and review of the Redmi Note 7. Coming up. Want to see more videos like this? Well, why not hit that subscribe button and make sure you hit that notification icon. This way you'll be alerted every time I post a new video. And don't forget to check me out on my social media, especially Twitter, because that's where I post all the latest updates. Now before we get to the unboxing, here's a quick rundown of the specs. What you get is a 6.3-inch IPS LCD display. It's really nice. It's powered by the Qualcomm Snapdragon 660 processor. Now there are two variants. There's one with 3 GB of RAM with 32 GB of onboard storage, or 4 GB of RAM with 64 GB of onboard storage. All SKUs come with the microSD card slot for storage expansion, a 4000 mAh battery, and a 48 megapixel dual camera setup on the back. But enough with the specs, let's find out what you get inside the box. Let's open it up. Now in the box you get a SIM ejection tool. You also get a TPU case, which is a really nice touch at this price point. Of course, you get the unit itself. We'll get to that in a moment. And also in the box is your USB-C cable, as well as a standard power adapter. We'll get to the battery life and the charging times later in this review. And they threw in a pair of these really nice Mi earbuds. That's a nice touch. Now, holding the unit for the first time, one thing I'm really struck by is how premium this feels. The glass and metal design to me feels much more expensive than the price tag would suggest. And speaking of the price, they come in at $231, which is a pretty decent price over at tradingshenzhen.com. I'll put all the links below. Now, if you do go through my link, of course, that will be an affiliate link, and I will get a small commission, which certainly helps out this channel. So I thank you in advance if you do go through my links. Now, before we get to the ports and the tour of the device in general, I want to thank today's sponsor, Wondershare, and their excellent data recovery software, Recoverit. Now, being a content creator here on YouTube, I'm constantly having to recover files that I either accidentally delete or get corrupted, and I need an excellent solution in terms of data recovery. And that's where Wondershare's Recoverit comes in. It does a really excellent job on recovering those files. It's a free download available for both Windows and Mac, and I like the fact that it's really easy to use. Select the target drive, select the file you want to recover, and let Recoverit do its magic. It's that simple. Now, like I said, Recoverit is free of charge, but there is an upgraded version, Recoverit Pro and Recoverit Ultimate, with even more added functionality at a great price. I'll put the links below for all those versions. It's the kind of recovery solution you wish you had on hand when you need it. Head on over to recoverit.wondershare.com for more information, and I want to thank Wondershare for sponsoring today's video. On the bottom is USB-C port as well as a mono speaker, and on the top is a 3.5mm headphone jack, which is great to see. And it even has an IR blaster to control your TV. Nice. Now you will notice that the camera bump does protrude out, so that's something to keep in mind. It's got some metal buttons, which is nice to the touch. Now it does have a fingerprint scanner on the back, and I like the placement, and that's good. And I really can't get over how nice this glass and metal design is. It really does look nice. And it has an LED indicator light, but it's located on the bottom, which is a bit unusual, but it's good to have it nonetheless. Now, I have the Chinese variant. Of course, that means it won't come with the Google Play Store, but that's not a problem. Installing it is rather easy. All you have to do is go to the Mi Store, do a search for Google, and choose this app, and that's it. Just follow the instructions. It'll install Google services and all the related apps that it needs to run. It's that simple. Now, one of the things I'm most impressed with is the 6.4-inch IPS LCD display. I can't believe this is a budget phone with such a nice display. Now, one thing you're going to notice is it does have a notch. It's a teardrop style, which I don't mind. I actually prefer that than the longer kind, which are more obtrusive. This is actually pretty good. And what it allows you to do is give you some pretty slim bezels, although not totally bezel-less. They are pretty good, especially for a budget phone. But despite that, you will notice a little bit of a chin on the bottom, as you can see here. You're looking at a resolution of 2340 by 1080. That's 19.5:9 aspect ratio, making it pretty easy to manage in one hand despite its large size. It's a pretty sharp IPS LCD display with 409 pixels per inch. It's actually pretty good. And at 495 nits, it's a pretty bright display, good for both indoor and outdoor use. And for an IPS LCD panel, the plaques are pretty deep and the colors seem really vibrant. I'm really impressed with this display. It's great for consuming media, watching YouTube 1080p, no problem. But with Netflix, unfortunately, this only has a Widevine level 3 security, so you won't be able to get HD videos for Netflix, and that to me is a bit of a negative. Okay, so let's talk about performance. Remember, this has the Snapdragon 660, so I'm expecting pretty decent performance, but not, of course, flagship level, since this is a budget level smartphone. And as you can see from these Antutu benchmark results, as well as the single and multi-core score of the Geekbench 4 test, this certainly held its own with some of the flagships I reviewed as of late. But again, this is not a flagship device. This is a mid-level at best, but it does have some pretty decent performance. Gaming, doing all sorts of multitasking. I had no real issues with this. And I thought everything worked really smooth. I thought the OS was very fluid. I didn't see really any lag, so everything is good on that front. And it runs the MIUI 10 and Android 9 Pie, and I have to say MIUI 10 is very iOS-like, so if you're used to iOS, you'll certainly feel at home with this MIUI 10. By now you're probably wondering, well, how's the battery life? Well, I'm glad you asked. It's really good. It's got a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. It did over 14 hours on the web surfing test, 14 hours of 15 minutes on the movie playback test, and under heavy load you're looking at around 5 hours. And when you compare it to some other smartphones, it did well in screen on time, 7 hours and 57 minutes, which is actually pretty good. But of course, if you do need to plug in, it does support Quickcharge 4.0. Unfortunately, they don't include a Quickcharge adapter in the box. It's a standard charger and takes about 2 hours and 6 minutes to fully charge this device with that included adapter. And I'm glad that it uses USB Type-C to charge this device. Nice. Okay, so what about the cameras? We'll start with the dual camera setup on the back, and I have to say, not too bad. Now, I don't know if this is a true 48 megapixel sensor on the back. I'm hearing reports that it's not, but the overall quality I thought is pretty good, especially good lighting conditions, as you can see here. And even in low light situations, I thought it did pretty nice. I'm actually impressed. For this price of phone, you're getting some pretty decent cameras. Whether or not they're 48 megapixels on the back is another story, but the overall quality I thought was pretty good. I thought the bokeh effect, or the blurred background effect, was pretty decent. I was actually quite surprised how good it did turn out. Again, I want to know what you think. Let me know in that comment section below. Now this is 1080p 30 frames per second on the Redmi Note 7. Let me know what you think about it in the comment section below. Now I think the video is not too bad, and at 30 frames per second you do get some sort of image stabilization, but when you turn it up to 1080p 60 frames per second, it doesn't look like it does have image stabilization employed. Now if you go with the Open Camera app or you sideload the Pixel Camera app, you will enable 4K video and you will enable some additional stabilization at that level. And here is the Open Camera app on the Redmi Note 7 that enables 4K video shooting. As you can see, it's 30 frames per second, and it also employs image stabilization. That's an option in the Open Camera app itself, and it's actually pretty good. You could even do some slow motion video as well. I thought it was okay, not the best I've ever seen, but certainly something interesting at this price point for sure. So this is the front-facing camera on the Redmi Note 7. Let me know in the comment section below what you think about it. I think it's okay. Pretty good cameras considering the price. Actually, good price to value as far as I'm concerned. Again, I want to know what you think. Let me know. Now, as far as selfies are concerned, I thought it did a pretty decent job. I thought you could do some really decent shots with the portrait mode in pretty good lighting, of course. This is not bad, actually, and you can also do black and white as you see here. I'm impressed with these cameras, considering, once again, you're at a budget level smartphone here. Now you have a mono speaker on this device. It's located on the bottom. It's not stereo sound, so keep that in mind. But at a budget level smartphone, I'm really not expecting it. But it does get pretty loud and the sound isn't too bad. Let's give it a listen. And I love the fact that this has a 3.5mm headphone jack, and I didn't experience any kind of interference or any kind of static. And of course, that's really good. Now, these earbuds were thrown in as a free gift with my purchase of the Note 7, and I bought this on AliExpress, and I kind of like them. They're really good. They get pretty loud. I'm impressed with these earbuds. And another great thing, it does have FM radio when you plug in your headphones. So that's a really nice feature for this Note 7. Now, something to keep in mind, I live in the United States, Las Vegas, Nevada, and I was not able to get my LTE working here using my Google Fi SIM, which utilizes the T-Mobile network. You have to check with your carriers to see if the supported bands are there as far as LTE is concerned. Now, I don't know if AT&T or T-Mobile itself will support it here in the United States, but if anybody can get it working with that, let us know in the comment section below. But of course, if you're outside the United States, you should have all the supported bands, but then again, always check with your carrier before you buy, just to make sure. Now, a few odds and ends, it does not have NFC, so that's a little bit of a negative for some who want to use Google Pay and the like. It also doesn't have any wireless charging, despite the fact that it does have a glass back, but then again, we're at a budget level phone. I'm not expecting those things. So to wrap things up, can I recommend the Redmi Note 7? And the answer is absolutely. I love this budget smartphone with its solid build with Gorilla Glass on the front and back, excellent battery life, surprisingly good camera performance even in low light situations, excellent connectivity options, support for Quickcharge 4.0, solid performance with a fluid UI. But of course, this is not a perfect smartphone. There are areas of improvement I think they can improve on, of course. There is no 4K video in the native camera app, although you can use the open camera app or sideload the Pixel camera app, which worked well. Now, of course, there's no NFC, but I'm not expecting that at this budget level smartphone. And of course, not all LTE bands are supported here in the US, but if you're outside the US, I don't think there are any real deal breakers. This comes in at a great price to performance ratio as far as I'm concerned. This is an excellent buy. I'm going to give it a score of 91%, making the Redmi Note 7 worth your money. So what do you think about the Redmi Note 7? Actually, I think this is a great phone, especially for the price. Not too many compromises, great battery life, really nice display, really good build with the Gorilla Glass on the front and the back. This to me feels a lot more expensive than its actual price tag. And that to me is a great sign of things to come, because we're no longer hampered or compromised by these budget smartphones. We no longer have to pay $1,000 to get some really flagship specs. We're starting to get some really nice features in these lower end phones, and that's a good thing. They claim that there's 48 megapixel dual cameras on the back. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't really care. The bottom line is, I thought the results were good. The photos were good, the 1080p video was good, and if you use the open app or you sideload the Pixel camera app, you can use 4K video on this, and it looked really good. You also get some image stabilization in that 4K if you go with that open app. But you really can't go wrong with this phone at this price for what you're getting. This is one of the best budget smartphones I've ever looked at, and I'm really happy I did, because this is an excellent choice. So please hit the like button, please subscribe, please share this video. Don't forget to leave a comment in that comment section below. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if there's a device or something out there you think I should review. I'll do my best to try to make that happen. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, on Twitter, Instagram, and of course my website, amdtechreviews.com. So until next time, this is Andrew from AMD Tech. See ya.